Good morning. Welcome for today's talk. Last Sunday, and I thought I will be coming and talking to you, but it happens to be somehow didn't work out well. So you had one previously recorded talk. As I like to remind you, last year, every Sunday, we talk about Tibetan Buddhism, and that also principles are in common with the Theravadan or Hinayana path. And this year, I would like to be focused on the Mahayana path. As you were, the Buddhism is such an interesting thing, honestly. And when you're looking at it, you have so many ways of approaching the Buddhism. In one way, excuse me, most important, it is one way of looking in Buddhism is a very tenets point of view, theory and philosophy and all that point of view, which was most important. Because earlier, Buddhism came out as an outstanding in India early, in so many different spiritual schools, thoughts, and orders. So among them, Buddhism came out to be the most outstanding, the logical. Logically, you can, almost everything can be proved. In those days, there's not so scientific development as today. So the most reliable point of proving is the logical point. And Buddhism came out to be the outstanding on that. And that's the reason why, or rather we call it Parmana, or Vartika, or Prajna, or in other words, wisdom, logic are the point of proving Buddha's teaching. And so that's also why philosophical approach was very important. Side by side with philosophical approval, then practical. Sometimes philosophical becomes philosopher's issue, and practically have nothing to do, which will not be appropriate for a spiritual path. So as much as important in the philosophy, practically part has to be together. Then time goes on, certain winds change, and it becomes philosophy much more important than anything else. Simultaneously, certain portion philosophers, let the philosophical points worry by the philosopher, and let philosophers and let me worry about it, how to solve my problem, and become more practical, more sort of tight, and on the point. And that is how it had been anyway. So now it is today's Buddhism, today's Tibetan Buddhism. Today's Tibetan Buddhism is again, and there are certain Tibetan Buddhist practitioners are extremely sort of engaged in finding the truth. The point really is finding the truth. The goal really is to becoming free from suffering or to become total knowledge. Mahayana point is total knowledge. What do we call it? Buddhahood. What do we call it? Enlightenment. Another word is knowing everything, there to be known. Knowing simply doesn't mean simple knowledge. Knowing, this is the interesting point. Interesting point. In English, yes, you do have a separation, but I'm thinking in Tibetan, we say yönden. Yönden, that the yönden is really not only education, but quality. Whatever you learn, you become part of it. If it becomes your practice, and as it becomes part of you, or you become part of it, or it become part of you, whatever it may be, quality means goodness of that nature somehow attached and influenced and functioning as an individual human being. Such as a human being who was an angry person, short temper, angry person, hatred-oriented person, somehow internally change. It is not so much short temper, not so much angry person, become more softer, more gentler, more kinder, and then becoming more sort of forgiving and more forgiving maybe a Western culture and is a language. More sort of accepting the situation, more becoming part of it, more becoming cooperating with the reality and making best use of it. Getting away from a pre-projected perception of self and self-dealing. When you're becoming that less, we talk a lot about it, kinder, gentler, helpful and all that. But when you really look down, this sort of goes in two ways. One way, of course, accepting the reality. Many people can't accept reality because you projected something of what it is, and then you struggle for that. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of us we do. We projected something, so we try to get in there. That becomes our struggle. Younger kids do. old men like me do, and the youth like you people do. We all do that. We projected something, so you try to get that. And that becomes our struggle. Luckily, in this country, if you go to third world nations, and there's much more thing to struggle. There's a suffering. No food, no medicine, no clothing, no shelter, and then extremist. There's a war. All of those, everywhere. So luckily in this country, somehow we are very lucky, happy, fortunate. Sometimes you have to appreciate. If you don't appreciate, everything is not right. Everything is not right because it's samsara. To be honest with you, because it's samsara, no one's going to be right. Nothing is going to be right. But it's not so much suffering as you see. I mean, you don't have to look very far. Just look back in Iraq. What's happening? I mean, really, absolutely. You know, as I said, a lot of good Americans thought, we have to go over there because they've been killing each other. We have to go over there and stop them killing each other, and they will leave. Yeah, but now you see, whatever it is. So because it's hatred, because it's anger, and then, you know, things like religion, who is supposed to be helping solution, become a source of suffering. And nationality is our land, our this thing, is our religion. Yeah, my border is not this. This is artificial British monkey business border. And really, maybe it was monkey business that British really played. If you look it back in the early 19th century and late 18th century, British did play monkey trick. Because the whole idea is if they don't get along well, the Queen of England returns back. The Crown of England returns back to control. That was the agreement and treaty that the British left with whoever becoming the, what do you call it, autonomous and independent. And so that was British monkey trick, no doubt about it. But over the years, it becomes international reality. Because, you know, otherwise, where is the reality come from? There is no such a thing called this is reality right from the beginning, self-existing, independent, self-standing reality is not there anywhere. And it is all because of the society, because of the people, because of how it is. And that is the whole idea of Buddha's, what you call it, interdependent nature, or the interdependent system, or dependent origination. That is what it is. It is. And I was recently in New York. There's an opening of the American Rimpoche, that film. And somebody asked, I don't remember who, somebody I know, and now I forgot who asked, and if everything is empty, and how does it, oh, now I forgot the question. How does liberation exist or something, something anyway exist? Simply I gave the answer, because it's empty, it is exist. And there was a word by Nagarjuna, Kala tongba nyi rung wa tela tamje rung yur, Kala tong nyi mi rung wa tela tamje rung ma yings, Kala tongba nyi tong wa tela tamje rung yus. So whenever there is emptiness, then everything is possible. Because there's space, there's a room, there is a way of functioning. And when there's no empty, nothing can be done. Because it's static, it's all blocked, prefixed, not changeable. So it's not possible. Because of that, everything is fixed. And I did say, even there was a pillar where I was talking. So I'm looking at the pillar, and I said, look at this pillar. We will see. Oh, yeah. Now they said, how is it empty? And if it's empty, there should not be. That was the question. So I said, look at the pillar. Look at the pillar, and you see pillar. And is there something really called pillar right from the beginning? Or is it pillar was born out of the ground or landed from the sky down? No. Today's pillar is made by cement, right? Means cement and metals together. In other words, simply saying, there are thousands of particles, combine them together and taking a physical shape to be able to serve the purpose of lifting the beam. Right? To be able to serve the purpose of lifting the beam, and a collection of millions of particles together becomes a pillar. So that is how pillar is not self-existing. Pillar is dependent origination. And that is one example. Just like everything like that, everything else. Even practitioners practice what you practice, the result what you hope to get, path you follow, all of them are dependent origination. Tenzin Deva Jua. This is the main point where people who are looking in the spiritual path, people who are looking in the true reality, people who are looking for everything, that is what we are looking. That's what we're looking. Looking in that point, and saying, looking in that point, saying, what is me? Instead of looking out in pillar, looking in me, looking in, saying, what is me? What is me? Truth, me. Who is it? What is it? And whether there is somebody or something called me is existing or not existing. And these are the main points where earlier Buddhist and non-Buddhist spiritual paths, schools, thoughts, ideas developed. Not developed, but exist. Point of recognizing what is me, identifying what is me. Almost 5 well-known early Hindu schools, thoughts, 4 well-known Buddhist schools, all of them are, point is that. And here, only the Buddhist and the Mahayana Buddhist that off. Although Theravada do say selfless. But it is everybody try to establish self, pointing out. Because you want to liberate yourself. So if you don't know yourself, how you can liberate yourself? So the first identifying who is liberating, whom, what, where, to where, from where to where. These are the main points of the spiritual struggle earlier. Those schools came out because of that. Karasa. The non-Buddhist thoughts are totally based. There is certainly something called I, self-standing. And then while watching, while screening down, looking through, what is that self? What is that self? Because I don't remember the word above that. Anyway, well observing, well identifying that self, different schools have come up. And that's why this wisdom part is the most complicated and most difficult. Even what is the wisdom itself is difficult. All agree without any question, truth. All agree without any question, self has to be liberated. All agree without a question, this is the aim and the purpose. But while looking at the self, then becomes different. The different thoughts, different schools. I'm talking about Buddha and equivalent teachers. I'm not talking about it, Buddha's followers. I'm not talking about it. Equivalent teachers. They all have, there becomes different division comes because of that searching truth, searching who am I. That is actually not an easy question. We can dismiss that question by saying, I know who I am so and so. I am so and so. That's a simply name, right? I am Joe Blow. I'm Joe, I'm Blow, Joe Blow, right? That's a simply name. Who is that Joe Blow? or that Joe Blow who works on the car in the garage. Okay, then there you have this profession. No, not that Joe Blow. The Joe Blow who is in that real estate office or the insurance company. So then you have, anyway, between the profession, between name, between the parents, state, country, city, town, you shift the gear, you don't find the person. Everything. It is color. Which color? Color with the K, color with the C, color with the whatever. So that's sort of shifting the gear. That's because we are not really finding. When you're going down there, then everybody thinks, except the Buddhist. Even some Buddhist thinks there is something, somebody to be called self. That was a point of division between the schools' thoughts. Although practically we say Buddhists and non-Buddhists are divided on the basis of taking refuge or not. However, if you really look in deep down, it is that finding that self, find that me, that is the real point of division. The taking refuge or not taking refuge is theoretical. It's a theory, philosophical theory. Yes, that's what people follow today. Yes, that is reality. I'm not saying it's not. But the truth is that. And truth, really speaking, whether you're taking refuge or doesn't take refuge, it happens to be relative truth. Otherwise, what does that make a difference? I think it's like the Hillary Clinton's point. The person who dying is already dead, but now what is making a difference? And that is truth, and that is really what she thought, and that's what it is. But it becomes a point of a controversial issue, right? What makes it different now? Becomes a controversial issue. So just like that. What really makes a difference? Reality, nothing. But for all practical purposes, that is the definition. But still, truthfully, it is searching the truth of self. And that is why it's relevant. And that is why the division between Mahayana and the Hinayana is based on compassion rather than philosophy, or rather than searching truth, rather than wisdom. Perhaps Theravadan points are more practical. Mahayana points are a little more, I don't want to say gone beyond, though they say gone beyond all the time. Gade, parangade, parasam gade, right? Gone beyond, sort of beyond. So it's sort of a little more gone beyond, and not really that sort of easy, practical for that compassion, what we talk about. But that is how it is. But you people now should know that really division between Buddhism, Buddhist and non-Buddhist, all of them are on the basis of the truth. Theory or the whatever, definition, the sort of, card carrying, card, like card type, is a refuge and not refuge. But that is sort of theory. It is the definition. But that is when the Buddhism becomes so much only for practice and what you do rather than combination of a practice and theory together. Because in other words, truth is this: if you don't have the theoretical point, you don't have practical point. And that is the practical point is simply blind faith. You rely on people who are reliable, and then just following blindly. It becomes blind faith. Because there is no truth logically picking up. There is no, today, scientifically picking up. All this, mind life, what they call it, and all these scientists they're not looking for Buddhism. Believe me, they're not looking for Buddhism. They're looking for truth and solving a human problem easier than before. That is really what it is. And then we know what I find that they're mingling around with Buddhism because they probably noticed something there. There's something there. Couldn't really truly point their finger out. This is it. But they can very well see it's there, so they're mingling around. So that is exactly what it is. So the truth, what do you say it is, it must be backed up by the proving it's the truth, either logically or best scientifically, and then logically, and then other practically, actually be able to say. Scientific thing is very practical thing, right? And actually human beings being able to comprehend it with the help of whatever gadget they use. Right? Gadget they use. I mean, they see particles, look through, and then look through, they divide, and then they found at the end of the division called nothing beyond that you can go. Then you get better gadget and then divide it again. And get better gadget and divide it again and then goes. That is what it is. That is what it is. And that's why it is interesting. Buddha said there will never be end where you cannot divide. There will never be end where you cannot be divided. No matter how subtle, how beyond you go, there will always there will be part. Always. So the Buddha's idea of East never touches West because you are in between. There's an East side, there's a West side. These two never merge. Never. So that's why it is dividable. Even you divide, it's still dividable. Dividable. Physically gone beyond. Something else pops up. Sound, vibration, everything dividable. Time dividable. Past, present, future dividable. There will be never indivisible. According to Buddha. And there are other schools, thoughts, ideas, they have to accept indivisible. Because they reach ultimate, so it's indivisible. Reach to the item. Then you realize item is divisible. So then Newtons and this and that, the names are names, individual human being thoughts, labeled it, and then it becomes reality, isn't it? Why Kathy becomes reality? Because Kathy's parents thought, oh, we named this daughter Kathy. And they're the right authority who decided to label Kathy. So the other brothers and sisters, siblings, called Kathy. Then it becomes Kathy. There's a person, then the label. Label is given by the right authority, then becomes Kathy, right? If the parents choose not to call Kathy, choose to call, some other name, Mary, and then you will become Mary. That is the clear sign of a non-self-existent. Everything is dependently exist. If you have kids, you choose the name, you call that, and that kid becomes that person. Then somebody else says, that's not Kathy, that is Mary. You say, oh, no, you're wrong. This is Kathy, that's Mary. That is how it is. That is a truly emptiness. No, it's not Mary, it's Marilyn. No, it's not Marilyn, it's Maria. So that's how it changed, right? Is it possible to change? Because Mary, Maria, Marilyn, Kathy, Maria, all of them are not truly existing. It's a label. Combination of labeled by the correct authority, correct person. I don't want to say authority, correct person. If the wrong person if the wrong person labeled, it doesn't become right. So neighbor's kid, child born, and we name it. We name it, and we started calling different name, and the parents call different name. So what's going to be right? The parents is going to be right because we're the wrong label. But if you give the wrong name again, that's very funny. Emptiness has rules, my God. If you give the wrong name, what will happen? Right? And so two family has a child born, right? The family will decide to call the child Prince. Prince. Okay, that is the wrong level because he will not become prince. He will become princey. Right? People will call him princey later, and not a prince. Although all princes necessarily become king. So, but still, and that is how it is. It is emptiness. It is empty. It is emptiness with the rules and regulations. Honestly, that is how it works. So remember, all the points of different spiritual schools, spiritual paths are all truly based on the finding truth. So that's why it's like Christians present his own truth, Jewish present his own truth, Muslims present his own truth, Buddhists present his own truth, Hindus present his own truth. Then you have to see, finally, which becomes reality for me. It depends on my intelligence here. That's a beautiful girl. So the goal is to liberate yourself. But the path is, compassion is easy. To some people it's a difficulty, truth is easy. Those scientific mind people truth is easy, compassion is more difficult. Those of like me, the jolly ones, compassion is easy, truth is difficult. And that is how people are. So the point is, who are you going to liberate? Who is me? That's the point. Right, Jeff? That's it. Who is me? And this whole summer, we're talking about who is me. Mahamudra, Dzogchen, Uma, all of them talk who is me. That's really what it is. Some will say like this. Some will, meh. Some will argue, whatever, but truly dig in that. Who is me? That's really what it is. Good luck and thank you. That's where we are. Okay.
May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachment and hatred. May all beings have happiness.